What a finish to the regular season for Dana's Ducks. After taking the rematch with Colorado on Thursday night, Oregon blows up Utah. Joseph, Sim, and Ashalu all go out with a bang in front of the home crowd at Matt. On Kevin McShane Day at Gill, the lone senior got the start, and a re-energized Beaver squad dropped the hammer on Colorado and threw a block party in Corvallis. At the sports arena, the Dogs had a chance to lock up the regular season crown and claim sole ownership of it. But the Bruins had other ideas, and a rough week in Westwood got a little better as UCLA put up a strong second half. It's March, and it's time for the madness, and it's time for Inside the Pack. It rolls right now.
Booker almost left him. He left him again. Starks hits again. Ahmad Starks with 16 points, all in the second half.
Ahmad Starks buries the Buffs under an avalanche of huge shots in the second half, and the Ducks, well, they head to the tournament with some major momentum. Hello and welcome to this first March edition of Inside the Pack. Tom Ward here with you for the next 30 minutes, and alongside Nick Krupke as always. And Nick, the Pac-12 tournament week finally here, and what a way to go in it for Oregon. I mean, they come out yesterday on Saturday against Utah, up 34-2. It was almost surreal to look at that scoreboard and see they're up by 32.
Yeah, not often do you get 27 unanswered points now, right? Oregon's now, they got 4 in a row. They won 6 of 7, 11 out of 14. The Utes terrible, but that was just a domination on all facets of the game. Larry Krystkowiak afterwards said that wasn't even the worst game his team has played this year.
Yeah,
he said Oregon, a great team, and you got to like their chances now heading down to L.A.
Yeah, and then when you look at Oregon State, conversely, the Beavers, you know, they're looking like they were early in the non-conference season. Craig Robinson said as much after this one, but it was clear that Utah expended a lot of energy in that probably emotionally draining as well, loss to the Ducks on Thursday night.
Yeah, and then you come back here with Oregon State now, a very McShane day that Craig called it for the one senior there. You remember that when Craig's first year, McShane's in the gym shooting around at like 4:45 in the morning. Doesn't have a whole lot of respect being a walk-on. To this year now, he finally earns that scholarship and kind of embodies what he wants his team to be. No matter what, when the chips are down, you lose 5 in a row, you're still sticking with it, and you're still coming to practice, have a positive attitude, and now 2 in a row. We've seen the Beavers peel off some wins. Maybe they can make a run. We get the Cougars first, where we know what it's like.
And McShane embodies a lot about what college basketball coaches, high school basketball coaches, and fans, old school fans, want to see from basketball players. Craig said that, you know, when he first met McShane, he says, yeah, you can come out for the team. I don't know that I have anything for you, but you're welcome to hang around. And look what it got him.
Yeah, hard work certainly does pay off in the end.
Well, let's get things rolling here. And after exacting their revenge on the Buffaloes Thursday night, the Ducks cleared a major hurdle on their way to earning a bye on day 1 of the Pac-12 tournament. With a win over Utah Saturday, the Ducks could all but lock up the 3rd seed at Staples Center. On senior day at Matt Knight Arena, DeVoe Joseph, he had 24 Thursday night against Colorado, and fellow senior Garrett Sim had 19. Could they keep it rolling against the Utes? And the answer was a resounding yes. Opening minute, DeVoe, the nice turnaround, makes it 4-love Oregon. And then Sim, a 3-ball for Garrett from straight away. He drops that. It's 7-zip Ducks. And they were just getting started. Moments later, DeVoe for 3 from the corner. Make it 10-2 Oregon. Then moments later, DeVoe again, the nice drive. Does that so well. 14-2 Oregon wasn't even close to being done. More DeVoe. A deep 3 as he has no qualms about pulling the trigger. Make it 19-2. DeVoe had 14 of his 21 in the first. Then Tyrone Narrett says, why not me? Pulls the trigger from deep and is on target. 22-2. Later, Carlos Emery gets into the act. Caps a personal 8-0 run with his second 3 of the game. It's 30-2, still in the first. E.J. Singler hit for back-to-back 3s. The second one makes it 49-12. 12 for E.J. Then just before the half, Sim finishes off Oregon scoring in the first frame with a transition 3. Garrett with 13, make it 52-14 Oregon at the half. Second half was showtime first. Olu Ashalu drops the hammer and the foul. He had 12 points and 8 boards. And we take another look at this one. You can see he jumps over the defender, and we'll talk more about this dunk later in the show. Then Johnny Lloyd, the lob to Carlos Emery. 19 off the bench for Emery, as this was a party atmosphere for Oregon and Dana Altman's tradition. The 5 Duck seniors honored after the contest. Last year it came after a loss, a little better feeling on Saturday as Garrett Sim, being the only 4-year player, got honored. Jeremy Jacob, Tyrone Nerid, DeVoe Joseph, and Olu Ashalu playing their final regular season home games in an Oregon uniform. And they go out big, 94-48, season high scoring for the Ducks, who have won 6 of their last 7. The 15 made triples, also a season high, their most in a game since 2010.
That's the biggest loss in Utes history. Jason Washburn had 26 for the Utes, 0-12 on the road this year. Nobody else more than 5. DeVoe with 21 on 8 of 9 shooting. Carlos Emery, 19 off the bench, 8 of 9 from the field. Emery's near perfect shooting night, a career best for the JC transfer from Bloomington, Minnesota and Howard College. Emery buried on the bench early in the year. You look at that Arizona weekend, he played a total of 3 minutes, but he really wasn't doing a whole lot to justify more playing time. Now he is, scoring in double figures in 7 of the last 10 games, earning about 25 to 30 minutes per game off the bench. But it's more than scoring. 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 6 boards. Against Utah, the Ducks' rebounding margin, the most this year, plus 18, certainly helps when the opponent, the Utes, clanked 31 shots. To me, he's the real X factor, though, when you go down to this conference tournament. You got all the great guard play from DeVoe, Sim, and E.J. Sigler thrown into the mix as well, too. But for a guy to come off the bench, give you that lift, where they didn't have a guy like Tony Woods yesterday coming off the bench, I'd say, on Saturday. So, to me, Emery's a guy who's really matured, and another transfer. This roster we came into the season didn't know necessarily what kind of team we have. Dana's thrown it together again, kind of a patchwork unit, but it's pretty darn good right now.
No question, and you need a guy to come off the bench with some scoring punch if you're going to make a run in the Pac-12 tournament, because there's going to be games, there's going to be situations where your starters, for whatever reason, maybe they're slow to get into a rhythm, maybe they can't keep it up, and playing 3 games in 3 days, if you're going to run to the table to that title game, as Oregon is set up to do, you're going to have some contributions from across the board.
And Emery's the kind of guy where we've seen him be able to shoot the 3, but he can also take it to the rack as well. And really kind of, we saw the Duck bench go crazy on Saturday. A lot of times this year, Emery, some pretty special dunks, really kind of brings open the crowd and the team too.
And we should add that Tony Woods, out with that shoulder, should be good to go for the Pac-12 tournament. Dana Altman said that it was just precautionary. Obviously, they didn't think and they didn't need him against Utah to beat the Utes. And so Woods, Olu, I think form a formidable front court down in the Pac-12 tournament that I think a lot of people are maybe a little bit nervous about facing as we get ready to roll at Staples Center. But for the past few weeks, the Beavers' goal was to finish the season strong and gain momentum heading into the Pac-12 tournament. After beating Utah on Thursday, OSU could make it 2 in a row with a win over the Buffs. And senior day for Kevin McShane, he went from walk-on to earning a scholarship for the season. First half, Angus Brandt gave up his starting spot to McShane, and McShane made it count. First bucket of the game for the Beavs, a hook shot, his only points of the day in 14 minutes of action. OSU played man-to-man the whole game, forced 14 turnovers. Eric Moreland the swipe, Joe Burton running the floor. Big fella lays it in and gives the Beavs a 4-point lead. Still in the first. CU sticking around. Andre Robertson the alley-oop. Beavs still up 4 just before the half. Roberto Nelson drives to the bucket, lays it in. He finished with 16. O State up 30-27 at the break. Second half, Buffs take the lead. Carlin Brown hits for 3, 32-30, and that's what Brown can do for you, but it did not last. Jared Cunningham hits a 3, and he's fouled, completes the 4-point play, makes it 38-34 Beavers. Then Ahmad Starks caught fire after being held scoreless in the first half. He goes on a personal 14-0 run. He hit 3-pointers, layups, jumpers, you name it. He led all scorers with 18 afterwards, said it was the best run of his life. And who could argue, right? And then later, Moreland on the fast break changes hands in midair and lays it in, puts the exclamation mark on a big win for OSU. On senior day, the Beavers come away with the win, 83-69. The Beavers clinched just their second winning season since 1990. Starks finished with 18 points, all in the second half. Cunningham, 15 points, moving him to 21st on O State's career scoring list.
But the Buffs struggled from the free throw line. They were 13 of 27, shooting just 25%. With the win, the Beavers finished 8th in the Pac-12. They'll play Washington State in the first round of the tournament beginning Wednesday. The Cougars swept the season series this year. The goal for Oregon State coming into the year was to make the NCAA tournament. The only way that can happen now is to win at Staples Center all the way through. The Beavers still believe, though, they can do that, especially now that they have won 2 in a row. Their defense flawed flying around Saturday. They played man-to-man the entire game, and certainly a block party was there. 10 denials for the Beavers. 5 of them from Eric Moreland. Seemed to be so aggressive on defense this year as the Redford freshman finished the year with 55 blocks, third most by a Beaver in a single season. The Buffs never had an easy pass to the rim, and if they did, they got fouled. Didn't help. They missed 14 free throws. Coincidentally, they lost by 14 points. Now you look at that conference tournament. Washington State, of course, beat the Beavers twice. We talk about every year. It is hard to beat the same team 3 times in one season, so certainly Oregon State has seen what the Cougars can bring. Not a whole lot if you saw any of their game when they played the other day at USC. Certainly the chance for the Beavers now to ride out that wave of they lost 5 in a row, kind of a letdown season, like 7 conference wins, coming in where they were 10-2 going to the conference play. Certainly not the way they wanted to finish it, but now a chance to really turn things around.
Well, their chances, I believe, in the Pac-12 tournament sort of hinge on, and you touched on it in the breakdown there, Eric Moreland. I mean, he's the X factor. We talked about Carlos Emery being the X factor for Oregon. Eric Moreland is the X factor for Oregon State. When he is active, when he is creating havoc out there on the defensive end, when he's hitting the glass, when he's blocking shots, Oregon State has a different dimension about them.
We've talked about the big guys all year having to have all 3 of those guys really work. Angus Brandt could be thrown into that too, but
yeah.
Joe Burton to get himself, we saw him running the floor nicely on Saturday, and Devon Collier, a guy, the length guy they have too. So certainly some things can happen for Oregon State if everybody they have can be on board.
After a weekend sweep of the mountain schools, the Ducks' hoop dreams of a trip to the big dance are still alive. Still to come on Inside the Pack. More from Dana Altman and Oregon as a trio of seniors set the tone on Senior Day.
You know, DeVoe came out and just, you know, boom, 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 and Garrett hit a shot. I mean, we were off and running, and we just played really well.
Plus, a tough week in Westwood was made a little easier with a nice effort by the Bruins around the conference in men's action later in the show. And as always, lots more Beavers, Ducks, and the rest of the Pac-12 online all the time at our website, InsideThePac.com. We're back after this. After grinding out a 2-point win in Boulder on Thursday, the Oregon women had a chance to head for LA, riding a 2-game winning streak, but it was a very different story Saturday in Salt Lake. The Ducks stumble into the postseason, losing 65-47, just 1 point off their season low. Oregon shot 32% from the floor. Ducks led by 8 early on, but the Utes closed the first half on a 19-2 run.
Amanda Johnson led them with 15. Jasmine Holiday added 10. Nia Jackson did not play due to illness. 9th-seeded Oregon meets 8th-seed Washington Wednesday.
The Beaver women entered the weekend 2 wins shy of 20 and inching ever closer to some sort of postseason berth, but an overtime loss to Utah on Thursday set them back. Then they dropped their regular season finale in Boulder, 67-57. Alicia Marchbanks filled up the box score with 16 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and a career-high 8 steals, but it wasn't enough as the Beavers have now lost 4 of their last 5.
Colorado's Lexi Kressel led everybody with 20. Chucky Jeffrey had 13. Just like the men, the Beaver women will open up with Washington State Wednesday in the Pac-12 tournament. The Trojan women closed out the regular season with their 6th straight win, 65-54 over the Cougars. Ashley Curl had 25 and 10 for the Trojans, who finished 3rd in the pack.
Regina Ross scored 22 points as Washington beat UCLA 67-59. The loss drops the Bruins out of 4th place and a first-round bye in the Pac-12 tournament. Instead, UCLA will face Arizona in the first round. Marco Walker with 20 and 17 rebounds for the Bruins.
Sun Devil women overcome an 11-point second-half deficit to beat the Wildcats 70-63. ASU has won 15 of the last 17 meetings. They the first-round bye as the 4th seed.
Still to come on Inside the Pack, we'll go back to men's action, and the Dogs with a golden opportunity in Southern California, but the Bruins were not about to roll over. Inside the Pack, we'll be back. Having wrapped up the Pac-12 regular season schedule at 13-5, Oregon was in the hunt for the conference crown for much of the season. Now it's a new season, and for the Ducks, it begins on Thursday inside the Staples Center in LA.
The tournament atmosphere is just different. And you got to prepare for it. You got to, love the challenge of trying to win, games back to back and focus. And so, I hope our guys are looking forward to it.
Like I said, the Pac-12 tournament is going to be huge for us, so we can't lose focus. So it's just kind of a stay focused speech.
Well, we definitely have the talent to do it and the motivation, and that's the main thing. When you have that motivation and that desire that you really want to make that run to get to that postseason, that takes over everything.
Well, we have seen some pretty dunks this year by the Ducks and the Beavers. I mean, Carlos Emery had a nice lob at Utah, but the best of the season may have come this past week.
They were pretty good. That one on Saturday, Olu Ashlu going up and over the Utes, number 3 on SportsCenter's list on Saturday night. But to me, though, the best one, look at his teammates' reaction.
Oh,
Jared
sure.
Sim jumping in Austin Kepper's arms.
But this is top shelf, too, because Jared just takes the pass on the cut and double pump, reverse. But Olu jumps over a guy.
To me, it's kind of like where Sean Kemp never won the slam dunk contest. He was so big, it's so ferocious, but the little guys, the high flyers, kind of looks a little more shiny. Go side by side here. They're both awesome. That's the fact of the matter. You got some power and you got some grace. 2 different kind of dunkers, but both ones certainly to go down the lore. Possibly, I think we can have an argument of which one's better. They're both tops of the year.
And I mentioned Emery's dunk at Utah in the beginning of that segment. That was like a over half court lob, caught it in transition in the motion and dunks it over the head.
And we went reverse on the thing too. Yeah, and he was going full speed down the floor. So certainly some exciting plays by the Ducks and the Beavers. And now if we can see some more in the conference tournament, and maybe they can come together at some point in time this weekend. You'll be down there at Staples Center, and it should be a fun week.
Should be. The Beavers broke a 5-game losing skid and started a new streak with 2 wins over the Mountain Schools this past week, and now head to L.A. on a bit of an uptick. Still to come on Inside. More with OSU as the Beavers reverted to early season form in a blowout of the Buffs.
Defensive execution along with 40-minute consistency are the 2 most important things that I saw this weekend, both Thursday and Saturday.
The Oregon State men face Washington State in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament, and after getting by Utah and thrashing Colorado, OSU is hopeful that it can make a run at the Staples Center.
And I think we have just as good a shot as anybody if we play like we did these last 2 games. And we play like we did in the non-conference. If we do that, we're a hard team to play against. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't want to sound, faint, phony type praise. I mean, I like this team.
When the whole team's playing good like this, we're hard to stop. I mean, I don't know if there's not a lot of teams out there that are going to be able to contain us when all of us are firing at all cylinders.
This definitely gives us a lot of momentum. We're trying to take it one day at a time. And, beating Utah like we did felt good, gave us momentum. Beating Colorado, which is a tough team to beat, they gave us a pretty good beating back at their place, so it felt good to get a win against them.
Well, it should be interesting to see which teams and which players can really shine under the bright lights in that big arena at Staples Center, but we sure know who lit it up in the regular season finales.
Can't look any further than all the guys that got things going against the Utes for the Ducks on Senior Day. Looking back on this season, though, the name that may pop back out to you down the road, the 1-year DeVoe Joseph played. Big impact he's had in 23 games all he's played so far. Team-wide 21 points, 6 boards, 5 assists on Senior Day.
Well, Mike Court King goes to one of the 5 Duck seniors, the only guy to play all 4 years at Oregon. Been through a lot, and you go from Ernie Kent, to Dana Altman. The kid from Sunset High School lit it up. He's gone 12 of 20 from downtown the past 3 games.
Yeah, and speaking of downtown, Ahmad Starks knows how to show some distance from long range, too. 14-0 run in the second half, led the Beavers to team-high 18 on Saturday.
All right, as we wrap up the show here, Pac-12 tournament begins on Wednesday. Coach of the year, I like Dana Altman. Player of the year, I like Jorge because of the contributions he made, but you'd be tempted to give it both Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year to Tony Roten of Washington.
To me, that's the same thing. Freshman of the Year, hands down, it's Tony Roten. But to me, if he gets that Freshman of the Year, let's give the Player of the Year, the MVP honors to somebody else.
Maybe a career achievement type of award because, Jorge's going out as
right.
You
like that. I like Jared Cunningham, just the way he is the most exciting, and I think he is one of the top 5 players in the league. I know the record isn't quite there to maybe back that up. But
if you're talking Player of the Year as opposed to attributes, it's Jared on attributes, no question, because he can do so much more. We will be at the Pac-12 tournament, as Nick mentioned. We'll have a recap following the NCAA show next week. For Nick, I'm Tom. Thanks for watching Inside the Pac.